Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode, Power Half Hour episode with Alexandra Harper, Unstoppable Overcomers, episode 109. And no, I'm not Dorothy, and neither is Dawn. We are here this afternoon with all of you on behalf of Miss Dorothy. She is with us, not just in spirit, but behind the scenes producing the show. She's dealing with some health issues, and so we have filled in for her, and I am absolutely intent in doing my very best to fulfill on what she would normally hold in this space, which is why I've got Dawn Roque with me, because it definitely is going to take two of us to fill Dorothy's shoes. Everyone, this is Dawn Roque. She is my co-host tonight. Dawn, would you like to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a mother of two and a wife, and I am currently a teacher in the state of Illinois. And I'm on my spring break and looking forward to see what this is all about.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Dawn is going to bring the perspective tonight of all of those things, which I'm super excited about. And for any of you that might not recognize me, I am Dorothy's roving reporter on the Unstoppable Overcomers show on Monday nights. And so that is what has given me the permission to get to be with all of you today. We are very excited to get Alexandra up on the stage with us. So she should be coming in now. There she is. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here. Before we even get started, I want to make sure the audience knows exactly who you are. And I'm just so excited to share you with everyone. So this is Alexandra Harper, everyone. She is a creative entrepreneur, community builder, and a designer who believes deeply in the power and necessity of art, community, and connection on both a personal and societal level. She founded Women of Culture in 2016 as a way to connect, empower, and inspire women in New York City through meaningful engagement with the arts. She hosts 6 to 8 art-based events per month. Holy moly, Alexandra. All designed to help intellectually curious women with a creative soul connect more deeply to one another, themselves, and the art world. Alexandra also plans 2 to 3 group travel experiences a year and hosts a bi-weekly online women's circle and custom crafts art-based events for private and corporate groups in not only New York City, but also LA.
Yes, going bi-coastal here.
Yeah. Hey, do you think maybe you could stop into the heartland of Chicago and maybe do 1 or 2 right here where I'm at and where me and Dawn are at?
For sure. That's a great idea. I love it.
That would be, boy, we've got the community for that too.
Yeah.
Dawn, I'm thinking right immediately of Kimmy Dvorak. I think these two would just hit it off like magic, like magic. Alexandra, we're so excited to hear about you and your business. What would you like to most like? Unfortunately, we only have 30. We don't even have 30 minutes at this point, right? It's like, what would, like, if you really wanted to leave them with something about the business, what would you most want to, where would you want to start?
Yeah, well, you gave me a great introduction, so thank you for that. But I really started Women of Culture because I felt a personal need in my life for more connection to other women and to the arts. And as someone who was not an artist and not working in the arts world in a traditional sense, I felt like this barrier where it was like really hard to kind of understand and grasp the art world in New York, and to also find other people who are interested in it. And so I think a lot of what Women of Culture is about is that the arts are for everyone, and you don't need to have an art background. You don't need to know anything about the arts. You don't need to even be creative at all. Like, we all actually are creative. Like, that's another thing that I really like to talk about and remind people, we all we're born creative and we have those juices in us. And so it's just a matter of sometimes reconnecting, whether you want to actually create art or just experience art. It's just so profoundly beneficial for your mind, body, and soul. And I think really being able to experience the arts with like-minded people, like-minded women in this case, is just so powerful. So that's what I try to help people do.
Well, truly, and I'm so grateful that I am a business woman and that I do run companies, because right now you're reminding me there's a certain point in my journey as a business woman that I found myself saying to myself, I'm not creative. I wish I was creative, right? Like, that BS story.
Right.
That I now am much wiser, right? But really finding myself very, like, oh wow, it must be great, right? It must be great to be an artist. It must be great to be a singer. It must be great to, blah 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 blah. And I stopped myself and I said, whoa, and I really got clear and I started declaring, I am creative. I am creative.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm discovering my area of art, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my masterpiece that I'm just organically creating? Come to find out, it's as a businesswoman.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
I mean, I literally, to your point, right? I
Yeah.
literally realize every time I create a new form or a new, concept or a new product,
Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
my creative juices are flowing. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love what you're, giving to fellow business owners, or entrepreneurs, or anyone for that matter, teachers,
Entrepreneurs, yeah.
right? Dawn, wives, working moms, to
Yeah.
realize, please get it. We're all creatives.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be at that place in your life where I was, where you were like, boy, it must be nice.
Yeah.
Reach out to Alexandra.
Yeah.
I just made a bold move there because this is a global show. Alexandra, do you support people across the globe, or is it just in New York and LA?
Well, so right now our community is primarily based in New York, and we're starting to build out the chapter in LA, but you never know what's to come. We are starting to do more group travel, art-based group travel experiences. I will be going to Paris in October, and so I'm definitely open to talking to people all over the country or all over the world. Sorry.
Well, why not, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I would imagine, I love what you're saying, that you're building chapters. Like, you have a New York chapter, you have an LA chapter.
Yeah.
Hey, if from people watching this show and they're like, I want me some of that.
Yeah.
I'm a woman and I'm hungry for culture, that they can just reach out to you at your website.
Yeah.
And you can work with them, potentially being the founder of a new chapter in a new location.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, eventually I would love to have chapters all over the country, perhaps the world, that would be amazing. I think we all need culture, art, creativity, connection, no matter where we live. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Well,
Yeah,
Consider it's done.
What is the draw for you? What's the draw for you to go to Paris? Is it something to do with your business or for fun?
Yeah, well,
both?
I mean, both, but so I actually lived in France many years ago at this point, but I've always had a deep love for France and French culture and language, and I really I always say living there was one of many reasons that I started my business, because there is such an amazing art scene, and the arts are just so integral to their lives in a way that the arts aren't necessarily in all Americans' lives, I feel like. So after I came back from living there for a year, I really started to make more of an effort to go to museums and galleries and shows, because it was something that I realized made me so happy when I was living there. And so the idea where we'll be going it's a group travel experience, basically, to Paris during the Paris Plus Art Fair, which is part of Art Basel. So it's kind of a big art extravaganza, whatever.
And when you say art, people always right away think sculpture, painting, but I was just looking
Oh,
on your website from my phone just to see more about it. It
yeah.
looks like you're talking dance, you're talking
Yeah, I
art,
really,
like
right.
anything that has to do with the
With
world of
the
art.
creative expression in any form. So, yeah, I mean, to Kimberly's point, I think so many things can be an expression of creativity or business. Or, I mean, for me, planning my events is like my form of creative expression, and I think that anything where you're putting your unique spin on it is really a form of, oh, hi, Michael, just said hi.
You too.
is, is an opportunity to express yourself creatively. And so I also really do, that's why it's like women of culture, not necessarily women of art, or, we do have the artful membership, but I try to incorporate performing arts, visual arts, culinary arts.
Culinary art.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
totally thinking about food. I'm like, of course, chefs. I mean, that a lot of people express not only their creativity, but their love, right? They go
Yeah.
hand in hand. It's kind of like creativity, love. They go together. Yeah.
Totally. I love that. That's such a great analogy because I feel like art is about love, and it is an expression of yourself and your soul, and yeah, and a lot of times it takes a lot of love to create art, and so yeah, I love that.
Beautiful. So the trip to France, it sounds like it's one of your trips that you plan each year, correct?
Yeah, so we always go pretty much for at least the past 3 or 4 years. We've gone to Art Basel in Miami for the weekend, which is a crazy time, but it looks so much fun. I mean, all of Miami turns into a big art gallery basically. And
Wow.
so that has become sort of our annual art fair trip. But we do some other trips. We're actually doing our first creative wellness retreat this April in the
Very cool.
Hamptons. So, because there's always been a personal development aspect to all of this. And to me, connecting to the arts can also be a way of like reconnecting to yourself. It can be meditative. It can be a way of, I think art, like nature, really inspires that sort of moment of pause and a moment of like getting out of your own head. And so that we're bringing more of that into some of our programming, and we'll be working with the sound practitioner and a creative art therapist. So we're, bringing all of that together for this retreat at the end of April. And then we do also usually do a trip upstate to like the Hudson Valley area because there's tons of great art up there too. So that's usually in July. So those are our four planned trips this year.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Is
And,
there a
and
date?
and so a couple of quick questions on the trip specifically.
Yeah.
Now it's the organization is Women of Culture, so
Yeah.
I don't want to assume anything. Membership, is it exclusive to women?
Yeah, so we have as I mentioned, the Artful membership, which is women focused, and the majority of our events are exclusive to women. Although we do have some open events that are gender inclusive. A lot of our like gallery nights and some of the larger events, we love to have any men, anyone who's interested in the arts and community attend. So.
Beautiful. And then as far as the events go, do you have to have a member? Like, do you have to be a member, or
So
can you
yeah,
be general public for those events?
right. That's a good question. So it's about 50-50 like each month. So about half of the events each month are targeted to members only, and then half are usually open.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there
Beautiful.
an age limit is what I was going to ask before, because I'm thinking of young women who are trying
Mm,
to find themselves. And a lot of
yeah.
times, sometimes
Oh,
kids are, well, I should say young adults are deterred from the field of art. We've seen it historically, like,
Yeah.
oh, there's no money in art.
Right.
But I don't
Mm,
like that, because if that's really a drive for someone, no matter the
yeah.
age, So do you have a minimum age you typically work with, or?
That's so interesting. I mean, so I would say like our general kind of target audience is usually 30s and up. Yeah, just that's also because of there's generally like a cost to these events. There's,
Perfect.
we're going to a museum, we're going to a show, so, but I think that's an interesting point because, it's yet another one of the reasons that I became passionate about the arts and started this business was because of feeling like I was deterred from pursuing a career in the arts due to financial reasons and like
Mhm.
being told, oh, you won't make any money or you
What
won't
did you
like,
want to do? What was your
oh.
passion?
Well, okay, so I wanted to be a dancer. That's what I always say was my
Wow.
kind of gateway drug to the art world. And I danced for many years. And in college, I started to realize, what a difficult career it was going to be, and thought, well, okay, I better find something a little more stable. But as you noticed on my website, dance is still a huge
Mhm.
part of my life, and reconnected to it. It's more from like a movement perspective. So we do some like movement workshops now that, I think that's another thing that I'm like also very passionate about is just really this idea of creative expression for wellness, for personal expression, for fun, and not
Mhm.
just for like becoming a professional or, having to make money from it because there is opportunity to pursue those creative acts as hobbies and,
Well, what I'm going to praise you for bringing this to people only because right now we are in a like screen intense society,
Mhm.
Mm,
and it sounds
yeah.
like the things that you are encouraging and supporting and bringing to your business are
Yeah.
a break from those, whether it is dance, culinary arts, sculpture, paintings, art
Yeah.
show, what have you. You're not on it. I mean, maybe you're taking pictures, but the intent is you're
Right.
talking to the people you are with and
Yes.
enjoying the ambiance of whatever part of art you're attending. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, as you said, I started originally in 2016, like pre-COVID days, and before community was really something that people were talking about as much as they are now. And
mhm.
now it's become sort of widely acknowledged that there's a loneliness epidemic, but that's something that I was really thinking about a lot when I started. And there's I think this being on our screens, being, I love working from home, but working from home, being more isolated since COVID has really been hard for people. And I think that we all need to get, these things are great. They help us a lot, but we
Mhm.
also need to get away from them. And I there's been times in my life where I've thought, oh well, why do I need to go to the museum? Like I can just look at the art online, but it's just not the same experience.
No.
You do not have that same kind of
Mm.
like awe-inducing, um, just pure joy that you can get when you're actually experiencing something for real.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Same with personal connections. I mean, you can build a lot of great connections online for sure, but I think being in the same physical space with somebody is there. I mean, there's just no substitute for that.
No, no, absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. Well, I'd love for you to consider,
Mhm.
in the space of the Unstoppable show, right? That in space that creating either a subchapter
Mhm.
for like 12 to 22s, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
and or maybe setting it up where when people
Yeah.
join, if they sponsor a
Oh,
youth,
yeah.
you
I
could do
love
a
that.
youth sponsorship, and they could like you could have specific. I mean, because I get it, I get like the whole world of, part of this is women coming together, getting to have women conversations,
Right.
right? Like Dawn, I'm sure it's a huge difference between when you get to sit and chit chat with the fellow women versus women and their kids, right? It's just a different dynamic. Um, but so I
Yeah.
get that you'd want to have both, right?
Right.
Mhm.
But I
I have
really,
worked with some school groups, and that's something that I've thought about trying to do more of, especially because I do something I call artful discovery walks of different neighborhoods of the city. So there's sort of like an art-based cultural immersion in like
Mhm.
one that's pretty popular is Lower East Side because it has really diverse history, and so we look at the neighborhood as like through the lens of art, but also history, culture, and so that's something that I think lends itself really well to like a younger audience. That also it's very educational and opportunity
Yeah,
to see the city in a new, different light.
absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Now I could see this citywide, like, every city, like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, I when now you started this back in 2016,
Mhm.
right? And what's your journey been like in building out this business?
Yeah, it's definitely been an adventure. So I'm always very transparent. Like I started, it was a passion project. Didn't know what it was, if it was going to be a business. I mean, I think I had that idea to be an entrepreneur eventually someday, but I just really, as I said, it was something that I felt like this personal desire and personal like kind of hole in my life and wanted to
Mhm.
create something to fill it. And so it's been a roller coaster. I mean, I was working full time and then I went to part time and then I did a master's degree in entrepreneurship for the arts, and then COVID hit and I just everything I was doing kind of was all, as we said, it was great to have in-person events but not during a pandemic. So that was tricky. But I started focusing even the end of 2020 on doing a lot of the walks, the artful discovery walks, and things that could be done outdoors. I also launched an online program, the Sisterhood of Discovery, which is a online women's circle that I'm still running online, although we may move it in person eventually. But I was able to keep going, but then and I've really only been fully focused on the business the past like 2 years, I'd say. And yeah, I think it's like bootstrap solopreneur. So it's you have to be creative.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So the audience is clear. It took you a full 6 years before you were able to fully shift from working a full-time job
yeah.
into being able to do this as a full-time career.
Yeah, I mean, I had planned in, let's see, I guess like early 2020, I thought, or like
Mhm.
that I was gonna
Sure.
take the leap, and
Yeah.
that didn't happen. So, but yeah, it's definitely, I think, it is always good to have a steady paycheck while you're building something. So
Yeah. 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 It's, I
What are
mean,
the top three things that you've learned about yourself, whether it's being an entrepreneur or
Mm,
you being a human in this journey
mm.
of getting to womenofculture.org and everything it's become today?
Oh,
Your top
wow.
three.
It's a good question. I mean, I've learned so much. I think top three. I mean, I
well,
definitely think, yeah,
let me shift it for you to help you out.
yeah,
Okay. If you were talking to you when
yeah.
you first started, what would
Mm.
be the three things you'd want to tell you? What do you wish you could have told yourself when you first started?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that it's definitely about just trusting, just having faith in the process and trusting that it all works out. I mean, I think any entrepreneur will tell you it's a roller coaster and a lot of, ups and downs and good days and bad days, and just just keep going. And, I think I've also one thing that I've found to be helpful is really kind of seeking out as much partnership as possible and working with other people. And, instead of seeing other businesses competition, like trying to, work with them and see how we can help each other. And especially with other like female owned businesses, I just feel like we all have to stick together and really lift each other up. So that's another thing. And I think just really kind of not listening to the people that don't believe in your vision.
Well said. Well said. Well said.
That's
So
really
true.
hard. Harder, easier said than done, but yeah.
Well, wouldn't you agree, Alexander? Is it really? It's you gotta be responsible for who you're speaking the future of your company into.
Yeah.
And to really be responsible for, like, it's every person that is in your world as a business builder, as a business creator, they're all valuable. They're all important, and they all provide different things. But not all of them have the capacity to see what you're seeing, right? That is the gift of the business owner, is we've been gifted this vision of this business that is like, holy crap, right? And it was seeded in each of us. And so that seed we've got to hold dear to us and only expose the full vision to those that can grasp it, that can even get their heads wrapped around it, because most can't.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where I think a lot of artists are entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of similarities between being an artist and an entrepreneur, and where you're envisioning a future that doesn't exist yet. And a lot of, it's your job to like subscribe people and roll them into that vision. But there's some people that just don't get it. And, I think especially with something like what I'm doing, it's fairly niche, and sometimes I describe it to people and their eyes kind of glaze over, and I'm like, okay, that's fine,
and that's cool.
You're not my person.
That's right. That's right. They'll get it when they get it, right?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you could know nothing about art, and that's your goal, is like, if this is an outlet or something, you're looking to do something as a woman in your 30s and you want to meet people, come learn.
Yes, that's thank you for saying that, because I think sometimes people are intimidated, or they think they have to know something about the arts or even really be interested. And I think a lot of people that come into the group actually don't have that much knowledge about the arts, and might have a small interest, but they actually really just want to like meet other people, and they sort of fall in love with the arts along the way. I think that the arts are such a great equalizer, and they kind of bring us all back to our humanity. And so being able to experience something like that with other people, I think it helps to open up conversations and connections that you might not necessarily have without that kind of ground, level playing field, I guess you could say.
Yeah. 100%. Well, Alexandra, just as I said, I knew this 30 minutes was not going to be enough time to hear everything that there is to hear about your amazing business. So I'm definitely going to invite the audience, if you have not already gone to her website, please go there now to learn much more about the company and Alexandra herself. And feel free to reach out to Alexandra as well, right? And Alexandra, you had in your top 5 tips for business owners, which I really love, 3 of them you covered in Dawn's question, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to go ahead and take the last minute or so to address follow your heart and face your fears?
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, those, I think definitely if you want to start a business, you have to love it. And that was something that I was told from the beginning too, because it's really, it can be hard, it can be lonely. So it has to be something that you're fully in love with. But also, I think that if you're following your heart, you will find joy even in those tough days. And And then I think just, well, what was the
Face your fears.
Face your
Face your
fears? Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So that is something I'm doing right now. I mean, as I said, I'm actually kind of a more shy person. So I think every day I try to do something that scares me. And I think just showing up and being yourself some days is hard. So it's like
Yes.
just doing that every day, and you build confidence slowly along the way. So.
Absolutely. We're going over time because I must ask you this question.
Yeah.
So I love that coming on the show tonight was, something that evoked fear in you, and you brought the courage, and you showed up, and I'm telling you, most people that wouldn't know, right? That you were scared in any way, shape, or form tonight, because you performed beautifully. And it's perfect cap, right?
Yeah.
What has now shown up for you inside of showing up on this show tonight and facing your fears?
Yeah. I mean, it's every time you do it, it's like, wow, that wasn't so bad. You're like, why was I scared of that? So I'm like, oh, this was fun. I can do that again. So
Beautiful.
I do have a question, because now I'm curious. What do you envision in the next 2 to 3 years? What's a goal in mind that you have, how you want to expand what you already have now, if anything?
Yeah. I mean, I have so many ideas. It's sometimes like, okay, focus. I think really building out the LA chapter right now, there's just like kind of ad hoc events. So I would like to launch the membership there, and doing this trip to Paris is hopefully opening up more of international possibilities in the future. And that was like one of my big goals for a few years now, was to do an international trip. So those are a few things. I'm always like just trying to build the membership. We're at about 100 members right now, so 2 or 3 years, I hope we could double that. So
It's a great goal.
Yeah.
It's a great goal.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, sorry, Ed McMahon, aka Dawn, and Alexandra. I am going to be in huge trouble with our producer, Dorothy Odell, because we are absolutely over time. And so for all of you out there, we hope that we provided all that there was to provide. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to get to be with you, Alexandra, tonight, and Dawn, and everyone. I'm sure you can expect Dorothy back next week. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you, Alexandra.
Nice meeting you.